Well guys, I went ahead and bolted in the adapter. Right now I'm replacing the rear main seal because it is leaking. It's slinging some oil, getting a little messy, so it's a good time to replace this rear main. And of course I went with the OE. Let me pop this in real quick and then I'll start getting the flywheel in there and the clutch kit. Alright, quick update. Got the new rear main seal in there. So from here, I can go ahead and install the flywheel and the pressure plate and clutch. All right, and for another update, I got the adapter plate and the flywheel installed. It also comes with this little adapter for the, god dang it, the spacer for the pilot. Because the pilot on the transmission would normally sit there. But this comes with an adapter to sit in the back of the 2JZ crank, and then it's got the right fitting for the BMW, basically like a pilot bearing. It's just gonna ride inside this bushing right here. So yeah, from here I'm gonna install the clutch and pressure plate, and I'll check in later. All right, here we are again with another updates. I've got the Z4 clutch disc and M3 pressure plates. Whatever BMW trans you get, you're gonna have to get the matching clutch disc, but the pressure plate has to be an M3 to bolt up to the flywheel. So yeah, all right, after this, I'm going to install the transmission and the slave cylinder and the transmission mount. And then I can measure for the drive shaft and get it ordered. So the factory starter has bolts going through the trans and it bolts into the starter, but this one requires you to, it's got studs that go through the block into the plate, and then you drill out the hole in the starter so that it slides through the stud, and then you put that nut on there. So yeah, it's a little bit different. I didn't even have to take the starter out to do that. The starter was just hanging. I was able to drill out the holes to slide through the studs, and that's that. It seems to be all good. Here's another quick update. I went ahead and mounted the shifter. I don't know if I already showed you that or not, but I had to extend the tunnel forward maybe like half an inch, and then I've got these 4 bolts and nuts securing the base of the shifter, because this is the base of the shifter. There's not really a spot unless like weld something here, but with these 4 bolts, it's pretty sturdy. The shifter, it doesn't move. That's good enough for me. And then I had to extend the shaft about half an inch. Luckily, this shift rod is weldable metal, so I just chopped it, got a piece of bolt and used it as like a spacer and welded it up. I need like half an inch to get the shifter in a better spot in the shift boot. And I'll show you up there here in a second. I used the bezel out of a Fox body. It almost looks factory. And then this mount I got from Collins Adapter too. It's really meant for a 5-speed. So I guess the 5 speeds, the mounts line up perfectly in these slots, but this is a 6-speed, so it's a little different. But I bolted it up, and then I marked where the mounts go through, and I just drilled holes for this. It's just like a stud. So the stud goes, there's no like play, right? I just drilled a hole and I lined it up perfectly, and it goes through, and that's that. But it looks like I am gonna have to run some spacers between the plate and the body, because when I try to go all the way up, the trans actually hits the tunnel. So that's some of the stuff I'm running into. So now that I have all this here, I can measure for my drive shaft length. And I had a comment in my first video saying if I could list that measurement, and yeah, no problem. I got no problem all telling you the measurements. I'm gonna install the flanges, the 1310 E-joint flanges. I measure like ear to ear. And yeah, I'll let you know what that measurement is. Yeah, let's keep making progress, man. So right here, what I'm working on is the shift bezel and boots. It just so happens that a shift bezel out of a Fox body Mustang fits really well into the GS300 center console. We just have to trim it up a little bit. As you can see, I cut open the hole. I shaved down the edges of this a bit till it fits very close and looks just about factory. I try to trim it down to the edges are nice and smooth and they blend in. This looks kind of clean. I like how it looks factory. Like this way, it looks like it came with the manual transmission. Let me test fit it real quick and show you guys. This is what we're looking like. This is the BMW short throw, Fox body Mustang shift bezel and boots. I like how this is like using a lot of various parts from different makes and models to make this come together. But yeah, I really like the placement of this. This is a short throw. Doesn't seem to be contacting the bezel, but I do need to glue it down. And yeah, I'm really liking the progress and the feel of this shifter. I can't wait, man. Let's see. So I did get my drive shaft in. All right, quick little update. I got the drive shaft in. It actually ended up measuring 54 inches exactly. And you're gonna measure from the center of where the U-joint goes to the opposite center. And yeah, 54 inches exactly. And you need a slip. It's called a telescoping drive shaft. It's got a slip joint built into it because the diff and the trans don't have any give or any slip. Sometimes you have like a slip yoke into the transmission, but this one does not. And you just need some sort of give in the drive line because your diff can flex and move around, your trans can flex. It's not good to have a solid fixed shaft with no give in the middle. Anyway, so yeah, that's in there. It's torqued. Got it in there. I got the mounts. Remember I said I needed spacers? I ended up using just nuts. I figured they're strong, sturdy, not gonna mess up on me or whatever. Shifter is in. So now basically I just have to bleed the clutch. I want to install the exhaust system too, because yeah, that would be kind of loud. I had to do a neutral safety bypass. So this is the plug that goes through the automatic transmission, and these two wires here are for the neutral safety switch. This is what only allows it to start, I think, in park. So this allows it to only start in park or neutral. So you just cut these two wires, short them together, and then your car will start in basically any condition after that. I am gonna have to clean this up and put this harness out of the way, but for now I'm just making sure everything works. Yeah, let's drop it down and actually no, I need to put the exhaust on. All right guys, I'm like 95% done. It's drivable. I drove it home. I put most of the interior back in the car, and yeah, man, it's really fun to drive. It totally transformed the experience of driving this car. Even though it might not be fast yet, it just makes it feel so much sportier just to go through the gears, especially because of the 6-speed. The first couple gears, they're like lower ratioed than the original 5-speed. So it does accelerate quicker, it feels peppier, and then 6th gear is more of an overdrive than the original 5-speed was. I am having some issues with the pilot bearing. The Collins adapter kit came with like a spacer. You saw me install it to the back of the crank, and then the pilot of the transmission goes into the spacer. Well, I made a mistake. I didn't realize it was press fit because at first I couldn't get it installed. It was too tight of a fit. So I sanded down the spacer to went in nice and easy. But it turns out you're supposed to hammer that thing in there. You're supposed to hammer it into the back of the crankshaft so it does not move. And right now I'm pretty sure it's in there just moving and rattling around between the crankshaft and the input shaft of the transmission. So when the clutch is not depressed, you hear that sucker just rattling its life away in there. It kind of sounds like a throwout bearing rattle. So I went ahead and ordered a throwout bearing, an input shaft bearing, and I'm gonna get a new spacer. And I'm gonna try to modify the spacer because it doesn't actually integrate a bearing. It's just a solid piece of aluminum with like a brass bushing in the middle. But I want to actually see if I can have a machine shop have it to where I can install the input shaft bearing into that spacer, or the pilot bearing, I mean. Anyways, yeah, let me start it up, man. Let me show you. Luckily, I wasn't sure if the speedo's gonna work. The speedo does work. I'm sure I have all kinds of codes right now. Where are my keys? Let's see. So yeah, like right now it's all good. I was having some trouble getting the clutch adjusted. I couldn't get it to go into gear, but it turns out I had to modify the length of the slave cylinder rod. It has to be just the right length to depress that clutch fork enough to release the clutch. But I got it right. I got it to where it was close enough, and then you can fine tune it by adjusting the clutch master cylinder, which in this case I have. It's under the dash. It's a part of the clutch pedal, and I fine-tuned it by that. And listen to this pilot rattle. Oh my god! If it weren't for that, this would have been like the cleanest install, one and done. But I am gonna have to get back into it because I don't want that. That's embarrassing, man. For how clean and everything this install was, and how perfect everything went in, I'm not gonna settle for this rattle. I'm gonna fix it. But yeah, man, let's go for a drive. Let me show you guys what she can do. And this is like my third shift now, by the way. I started off with that, I call it a drift stick. It was like this high. Then I put the wood grain back on there. I modified the original wood grain. And I was like, nah, you know what? Let me get something a little shinier. Display the 6-speed. So yeah, that's that. Let's go for a drive. This is first, reverse, over and up. Oh, I forgot. I have a rocket foot of the tire because I don't yet have a parking brake. Yeah. Okay, take two. Reverse. Luckily, I guess, so when I LS swapped my IS300, I was wondering about the speedometer, but this year, Lexus, it runs off the wheel speed sensors, not anything off the transmission, like how most cars run, like some sort of speed sensor off the tail shaft or something. So yeah, I've got speedo. It's gonna be hard to really show you one-hand drive this car with my shaky phone, and let me just kind of drive around and show you just cruising, going through gears. Right now it's in third. Fourth, super low RPM. I've already cruised this thing. I've already put like at least 40-50 miles on it, just cruising around town, eating some lunch, went to the movies. First. Should I get on that a little bit? I think I will. I'm gonna try to drive a little aggressive with one hand. Alright guys, that's a wrap for this video. Stay tuned for the next episode. We're going to keep fine-tuning this thing. Got to adjust the clutch pedal just a tad bit more. Work out the kinks. Take care of that pilot bearing rattle. And then eventually this thing's going to get some engine management. Think about going with the black ECU. And then we're going to get some boost in this thing. So yeah, stay tuned. Subscribe. See you in the next episode. Later.